Hey everybody, Ben Worst here with Conserve Wildlife Foundation of New Jersey. My official title is Habitat Program Manager for the Foundation. We're a nonprofit organization that's dedicated to protecting New Jersey's endangered and threatened wildlife. Hopefully everyone can hear me, and we'll be rolling live here on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're streaming me here on the worldwide interweb. So basically right now I'm streaming to myself, who I can see here, and I need to turn that off because I'm just looking at myself on my screen. So far I've done 2 surveys for ospreys in the zone that I survey, which is from around like Point Pleasant, northern part of Barnegat Bay, south to Atlantic City, so far I've done Little Lake Harbor area and around Long Beach Island, Barnegat Bay, parts of Great Bay as well, the northern side, I guess, or northeastern. Part of the work that we do with the foundation is a job that I've done for the past, 13 years now, in partnership with the state's Endangered Species Program. And, when I started, I did these surveys for the state as a wildlife technician with New Jersey Fish and Wildlife. And since then, becoming a biologist with Conserve Wildlife Foundation, I've continued these surveys, and basically with working with the foundation, I've managed to bring in a lot of private funding to do this work, where when I was working for the state, I saw that the lack of funding, and specifically the funding used to maintain and install new nesting platforms for ospreys, was lacking, where with Conserve Wildlife Foundation, we've been able to maintain, many nesting platforms for ospreys throughout the state, and which really has helped, keep them, where they are today. I mean, even though they're listed as threatened during the breeding season, no doubt, that listing is definitely going to be upgraded, probably very soon, and they're going to be taken off the ENT list in New Jersey. And that just goes to show that the work that we've been doing to help monitor and manage the population is really working. The hard part, though, is bringing in that private funding, because, that's the other part of my job that people don't really know, is that, it might be fun and everything going out on the boat and surveying all these nests, but most of my time is spent actually looking for funding, writing grant proposals, and doing all this legwork to try and keep my job and, pay for all this work that we do for them each and every year during these surveys. And about the surveys, so what we do, it's myself, and we have probably like a half dozen specially trained volunteers who, I give, many props to, because they do this as volunteers, and many have been doing so over a decade. Is we go out by boat and we do these ground surveys where we actually survey some of the most densely populated colonies of ospreys in New Jersey, and we collect data. We collect observations on active nests, so we determine if a nest is active, and then if the nest is active, then we climb up that nest and we count the number of young that are produced. And then if there are no young, then we try and determine the cause of failure, or if they're just housekeeping, which is kind of like a fine line there to really make those determinations. And I've learned a lot over the years to be able to successfully, determine whether a nest has failed, because when you're out there for just one nest check during their entire nesting season, sometimes it's really hard to determine how exactly a nest failed when you're just there during, a 10-minute span of their entire life cycle here in New Jersey. So you have to put the pieces of the puzzle together to really try and figure that out. And just looking at the behavior of the birds is some way to tell where, when you go to a nest and it's active, so there's a pair present, but then when you climb up and you see no young or anything, and they're still calling and defending the nest, that's a clear indication that they had something there and that they failed, where the young were either predated or they lost the young just because they're inexperienced, or so on and so forth. It could be storm-related, damage, where over the past few years, probably since 2012, we've had some pretty serious storms during the summer when, severe wind events happen, which in turn, damage nests and blow young from nests. And sometimes they just die from being blown out of the nest, or sometimes they die from exposure, or sometimes they drown from just very heavy rain. So far, so good for this season with regards to, real, high wind events here in New Jersey. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for that to continue. So, but yeah, so when we go out and do these surveys, we try and visit basically as many nests as we can in these, very densely populated colonies of ospreys. I do ones like Hog Island, which is New Jersey's most densely populated nesting colony of ospreys, where we have around 30 nesting pairs, which doesn't sound like a lot. But when you look at the geographic area where they're located, I mean, some nests are only a couple 100 feet apart, and it's really a very unique place to visit if you ever want to go anywhere to see lots of ospreys in New Jersey. I would definitely put Hog Island on that list to go visit for once in your lifetime at least. And Sedge is right behind Island Beach State Park. It's accessible by Island Beach by vehicle, or you could go in there by boat. As long as you're not on a personal watercraft, because it's a marine conservation zone, so they are banned from that area, which is good. And that's to protect submerged aquatic vegetation, which in turn is the nursery for all, or not all, but most aquatic life in Barnegat Bay, like blue claw crabs and flounder and many other critters that live out there, and many that ospreys eat in turn, too. So I don't want to drag this on forever, too. So if anybody has any questions, too, right now I'm just talking to myself. I can't see anybody. So this is always fun doing this. But I'm kind of doing this to answer any questions. So we have like a live chat going here on YouTube here. So if anyone has anything they'd like to ask, just type it in the window there and we'll see it. I'll answer your question. I can even comment, I guess, to answer your question, or I'll answer it just in the video here. But yeah, so, one of the things I just wanted to say a little bit about, too, is just kind of my thoughts for this season, too, and this is a cool way to kind of, get that out there. Typically we, wait to kind of give a lot of the results towards the end of the season, or, some of the fans on Facebook and other social media outlets like that, too. We kind of like to kind of throw those breadcrumbs out there to keep people in the loop and in the know, and we want everyone to love ospreys because they're definitely, one of the most special birds of prey throughout New Jersey, and really a very important bioindicator of the health of our salt marsh environment as well, too. And really even the aquatic health as well, too, of our many coastal areas, because they forage on fish. And we eat fish as well, too, so we share that food source. But, so some of the results that I'll even just say from the past couple days, which, it's just been glorious to be out surveying. The weather has really been phenomenal. I mean, that's really one of the things that really is a main factor in getting out. I'm sure if anyone knows, if you're a boat owner, and if you don't have a huge boat, weather really plays a huge role. And the past few days have just been amazing. Very light winds in the morning. The afternoon, the trade winds kind of kick in with a cool little sea breeze and a little wind, but it hasn't really gotten above 15 miles per hour. And I'm just kind of looking outside my house here in Bass River right now, and, the winds are, again, very light, and they look like they're variable, but another gorgeous evening to be out, too. So if I wasn't talking to you right now, maybe I'd be out checking more nests. But yeah, so it's really made for some great weather to get out and do some surveys. And I know some of my colleagues here, my fellow Osprey banders, are definitely going to be going out, in the next few days, because during this time of year, this is when most nests have young that are around 3 to 4 weeks old, around that age. But today, I mean, I saw birds that were still incubating eggs. I saw hatchlings, so, I mean, we even saw chicks that just hatched probably even this morning. There was still like an eggshell around the rear end of one of the chicks. And then we saw chicks that were around 5 weeks old. So they really varied. A couple questions. Are there any ospreys in northern New Jersey? There are a few. They're very scattered though, and I don't really get up to North Jersey that much to really see that many. But this year is a census year for ospreys, and this is where we're asking for the public basically to submit sightings of ospreys, specifically active nests. So if you live in northern New Jersey and you want to report an active nest in New Jersey, then where you'd go is osprey-watch.org, and that's where on that site as well, you could go on there. They have an interactive Google map, and you could actually see all of the osprey nests that we know of in New Jersey. And the few that we have up there, there are some reservoirs where there are a few nests. I don't think that there's really anything too substantial in the central part of the state. You know, I mean, it's too mountainous. Ospreys like to nest more in open areas along the coast, and then rivers. So the Delaware River is an area where the osprey population has been growing. You know, up the Delaware River, you know, by Pennsylvania and even up to Trenton, with a few exceptions up towards, like Lambertville is where we have a few nests kind of to the north of there. And if I was better at streaming online on YouTube and sharing my screen here, then I could probably even bring up a map showing where all these nests are, and I could zoom in and show you. But I'm still learning here. This is all new to me. This is my second live stream. But if you go to that site, which I'll even type right now, then you can definitely go and see all these osprey nests throughout the state and even the world. How many chicks on any of the nests in New Jersey, and how many? Or are there any chicks? Well, there are chicks for sure. I mean, in New Jersey right now, you know, all of our active nests, if they have young, then, you know, we don't really know how many until we actually get out there and count them, or until they get to be a size when you could actually see them. I mean, with the nests that I saw over the past 2 days, I mean, they had anywhere from like 1 chick to 3 chicks. The average has been around 1 or 2. Actually, you know, it's a good opportunity to talk about my results here from the past 2 days. So the Southern Barnegat Bay and Great Bay survey that I did yesterday around Great Bay Boulevard, let's see, what did we survey? We surveyed 31 active nests. 19 of those were where we knew the outcome. So those are ones where we actually know how many young are produced or whether they failed. And that's how we help determine the productivity rate, which is a measure of the health of the population. And then, so of those 19 known outcome nests, 24 of them there were 24 young. So the productivity rate was a little over, it was like 1.25, so not bad results. Not great either, but hey, you know, they're good considering how wet of a spring it was. I mean, May was like a very rainy month. Lots of rain. I think I saw we had like 7 inches of rain or something throughout the whole month of May, which is pretty crazy. That's usually when a lot of chicks are hatching in late May. So not great timing for ospreys. And then, okay, so the survey I did today, then we found a total of 17 active nests, and then 16 of those we determined the outcome, and they produced 22 young. So a little bit better than yesterday, with a productivity rate of around 1.375. So both were kind of, you know, about average. You know, the minimum needed in New Jersey to sustain the population is 0.8 young per active known outcome nest. So we're definitely, you know, doing well, and I'm definitely not concerned or anything. You know, so, but yeah, you know, we don't really know how many chicks are in every nest until we actually complete our surveys, and they're just beginning. I've only done 2, so I still have to survey all of northern Barnegat Bay. I have a great intern, Tony, who's going to be helping me out in Monmouth County. He's going to be surveying nests up there by ground. And then all of my other volunteer banders who will be doing other parts of the state, including Ocean City, Strathmere, Margate, Ventnor, and then Avalon, Stone Harbor, Sea Isle. So are my colleague Kathy Clark surveys. And then Wildwood I will probably do, and Cape May Harbor. And then the Delaware Bay Shore, we also have surveyors as well too, including the Morris River. So, okay, the Oradell Reservoir, yeah, I mean, if you go on ospreywatch.org, you can go and zoom right in on the Oradell Reservoir and see if there's any osprey nests there. If there isn't, then what you could do is go and drive around and look to see if there's any nests, and then you could go back onto ospreywatch.org and actually report them. So Osprey Watch is really a resource that we started using in 2013 in close partnership with New Jersey Fish and Wildlife and the Center for Conservation Biology, who runs Osprey Watch. We're basically before 2013. In the past, osprey censuses were done by helicopter surveys where biologists actually used to charter private helicopters to go out and fly the coast from, usually I think they flew from Manasquan Inlet south to Cape May, and then Cape May they flew over to the Salem Generating Station. And don't get me wrong, I would love to fly a helicopter again anytime. I love flying. I'm not afraid of heights. If any of you know me, you know that. But just the cost of chartering a helicopter like that these days is something that the state can't justify, and us, to raise, maybe $20,000 or $30,000 to fly a helicopter for a day, or even 2 surveys is typically what they've done in the past. Usually like one in April and one in May. It's just way too expensive. And really, putting the nests online. So that's what we did. We basically published all the nest locations of ospreys in New Jersey, and asked for the public to actually go online, look at this map, then go out and look at these nests and record whether they're active on Osprey Watch, and then we get that data from that shared partnership with them that we use in our annual reports and the censuses that we do. And this year it'll be even more important just because it is a census year. So the last time this was done was in 2013, and that's when we found, I think it was 542 nests. That's the last nest count that we actually had of active nests or nesting pairs in New Jersey. So this year, we're hoping to break 600. I mean, that's kind of been our estimate, just knowing the population growth over the years, kind of calculating that. We definitely hope to be over 600 nesting pairs, but we need that concrete scientific evidence from all of our osprey watchers out there. So if you live in New Jersey and you want to help contribute to this, then definitely get out, look for those active nests and report them on ospreywatch.org. So let's see other questions here. Are ospreys tested for mercury? We do collect adult eggs or eggs that do not hatch. When we find them. I had quite an experience today, which I could share with you. We were up at a nest, and there was one chick. It was like 3 weeks old, and I saw one egg. And actually, there was even another chick that was kind of oldly and deceased. It wasn't very recent, but it was another chick that died in the nest. And this is just what we see when we go up to nests, which is fairly common. I mean, we don't see it at every nest, but we tend to see mortality in nests every once in a while. And but this one chick that was still alive and looking quite well, there was another egg that was there. So I was like, okay, we're going to collect that egg because we collect eggs for contaminant studies. Well, then the chick got up, and then there was another egg. And then shortly after that, the chick moved around, and that egg popped in the nest. And I've never actually witnessed that happen. I've cracked eggs before when we've collected them, which is not a very pleasant experience because they are just wretched. The stink is something you just do not ever want to experience in your life. If you think about that rotten egg smell, times that by like 500, and this is what these eggs smell like when they just bake out in the sun. Basically exploded just from the gases being released there, So that was pretty crazy, and it really popped, too. So, but we collect the eggs. Getting back to what I was talking about and the question, mercury. So we do collect eggs. We save the contents of the eggs. We probably have like 50 samples in a freezer at our office down in Cape May County, and we do contaminant studies on the eggs, and we can find anything from mercury, lead, any of those heavy metals like that. And then we still find DDT and DDE in osprey eggs, and then we also have PCBs, and then some of the more new age contaminants, which we don't really know the effects of quite yet because they're so new, and many of the things that we think are very common in our lives today, like plastics, like flame retardants, brominated flame retardants, we don't really know the impacts of them right now. We're not seeing them, but really ospreys being these, bioindicators like this of, or being a top tier predator, they'll show the effects of these contaminants, well before us or many other long-lived species, and collecting these eggs and examining their contents are a way of determining the levels of these contaminants in the ecosystem and hopefully doing something to stop them before it gets to be too bad. So the problem, though, with these is that or collecting these eggs and all of these samples now, is that we just don't have the funding right now to get them analyzed. We've been working or in touch with folks out at Drexel University to hopefully, form a partnership bond with them to maybe analyze some of these contents. But we shall see. Even Stockton University is another institution who's local here, who we could see, about forming a better partnership to actually analyze some of these contents and actually engage, students and researchers and other scientists, in their conservation and management here. So let's see, Hog Island, very cool. Nest Cam Watcher, yes, I was a naturalist up at Hog Island last summer in August for their family camp. So very honored to be there. Definitely a great place to go and visit in Maine. Very, very great place to visit. But yeah, live cams in New Jersey. I mean, we definitely have one here. Let's see if I could even share my screen here. Let's see if this will work. Let's see. Wow. There we go. So we do have a camera, and you can see how I have ours up right now. So if you're seeing what I'm seeing, you're seeing our Osprey Cam, and this one is in New Jersey, in Oceanville. And here, you can even, I'm going to our website now. Let's see, can I make this full screen? I hope this is working. Otherwise, you're still looking at me. So this is where you go on our website here, okay? So it's conserveWildlifeNJ.org, and you can even, whoops, oh boy, uh-oh, we're going in deeper in the rabbit hole here. Oh, we don't want YouTube. Okay. Well, if you just go on our YouTube channel, you'll see both of them. See, look. Forsyth Osprey Cam. So otherwise, you just go to our website, and I'll go back here to the camera, which hopefully you can see here. And this is my control window, so this is how I would control the camera. So it's really cool where you can kind of click and drag. I can zoom in. So we have two chicks there. So this is down at Forsyth National Wildlife Refuge. Here, I'm getting back to where you could actually see our page here. So this is on our website. This is just where you could see both camera feeds. So conserveWildlifeNJ.org, education, Osprey Cam, what I was trying before to do and messed up, is where you could just type Osprey Cam in after conserveWildlifeNJ.org. That's a little redirect code there, so it'll bring you right back to this page. Or it'll do that, which I don't know why it did that. So, yes, so we do have a camera here. So yeah, you can see here, I can zoom all the way out. And you can see here, there's Atlantic City in the background. I don't know why, but it looks like the autofocus isn't really working too well. Or maybe it's just me, or my screen. But yeah, so we have two chicks at that nest. They're right around, they're getting close to 4 weeks old, or maybe they are 4 weeks old now. They look like it. So how I age young, too. Here, this is a good example here. Hopefully everyone's seeing this. So how I age them, too, is by their feather growth and development here. So you can see with the body feathers here, they come out of pin when they're around 3 weeks old. So these guys here, you can see they're pretty far out of pin. So these guys are probably, 4 weeks old, I'd say. And I hope I'm right. But yeah, we have another little camera here, too. So if you're on YouTube here, I'm not telling you to stop watching this stream, but after we're done, you can go on there and see. This is another little pinhole camera, but unfortunately right now the birds kind of pooped on it, so the view isn't really great right now. But hey, I might get out there. Oh, I don't know. Maybe next week to ban these chicks too. One of these days. So we shall see. Look at the male here too. That you can see here. He's kind of dozing off here with a fish in his talons. So you could tell they're all happy right here too. So chicks are taking a nap. Females taking a nap. One big happy family. All right. Let's see if I can get back to what I was doing here. Back to whoa. Okay. There we go. Ah. There we go. So, if anyone, let's see, any other questions? Yeah, Jim here, who's commenting, he's also a camera controller. Oh, and it looks like it was working too. Oh, that's great. Cool. Yes, Jim controls the cam, moderates questions, very knowledgeable guy, knows a lot about Ospreys. But yes, you definitely have to watch. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if I do get time to go out to this nest, I will ban them. I mean, I should say that banding, that we do is, it's a secondary goal. With this nest, maybe I've been lazy. I don't know. You could say that, I guess. But, this nest, with the camera, we know how many young are produced. And around where this nest is located is in, it's Forsyth National Wildlife Refuge. So, and there's like a wildlife drive. So that's where people can actually, they can drive around this loop, which is a couple miles out over the marsh, and it's surrounded by osprey nests. And, I hope to usually get sightings from just the public. This is another way of raising awareness for ospreys and getting people, interested in them, is to have them go out and report these sightings and everything too. But there's lots of great photography opportunities out there, where then I don't necessarily need to go and trudge through the marsh to those nests because somebody else is there to actually report on them. But if I do get time, I do like to go out there just to, engage with some of the Forsyth National Wildlife Refuge interns and seasonal staff and have them help me there to go out and band at those nests, because it's definitely challenging. There's lots of mucky areas. It's very shallow around there, so I can't get a boat in there. So yeah, so if we get time, then I'll definitely try to ban them there at the refuge, but we shall see. You could even see a banding video from there. When was the last time I banded out there? Might have been 2014 or 15. I did a video, and it's on our YouTube channel too, so you could always scroll back and look at that as well too if you want to see something from the past, just to see what it takes. Because even just installing that, the whole camera system and anything, everything involved with that, it's totally solar powered, or whatever. Solar charging batteries, so all that equipment is out there on the marsh. And, installing that was definitely very fun, especially crossing like a 20-foot wide ditch, with ladders. But hey, Sean, we got Sean here. Sean was an Eagle Scout I worked with to put up a couple platforms out at Sedge. And yes, I definitely don't forget. And yeah, I was out there last weekend. We had a conservation celebration for Sedge Islands for the Marine Conservation Zone. And I did see that both of those nests were occupied. I didn't get out to them exactly, right then and there, but I did see from a distance. And I will be surveying sedge probably next week. So when I get results, Sean, I'll definitely, send them your way, and we'll definitely make sure to take some good pictures for you, just so you can see how those platforms are doing. There might be one of them that's leaning, so I need to go out and repair that, but it's still doing just fine. It's still occupied and everything. So, the Falcon in Jersey City. Yes, that's the banding video has been pretty popular there with that. But yeah, let's see. Is the Osprey Cam that is online now the same nest that had the rescue? Let's see, the rescue. No, if you're talking about 39D, that one that I rescued, that was a different nest. That was up in Bayville on the bay there, and that was one that was very tall. Where I needed JCP&L to help me out with that because I don't have a bucket truck or anything. But the camera nest is down in Oceanville, which is like in Atlantic County, and the one in Bayville is up on Barnegat Bay in Ocean County. So definitely different areas, and I try to do not too many rescues per year, just because I hate seeing birds get entangled in anything. But It's even a good thing to mention when we actually go out and do these surveys and everything. When I'm out at nest, that's when I actually clean out nests, from all the plastic trash that I find in them. And I've been doing so probably since 2012. I mean, probably even longer than that. But that's when I actually first started really keeping track of it and saving the trash, because I hate to see chicks entangled. I mean, we've had several calls this spring of birds being entangled and like hanging from trees and, so on and so forth. And we hate to see that happen, from people being irresponsible with their trash, especially, balloon releases that are intentional. And it's not the balloons, but it's the ribbon that's attached. I mean, I could probably go outside right now in my trash can here and go and pull out a whole bunch of balloons that I found. We're always finding balloons on the marsh and in the water. They're everywhere, but it's the ribbon that the birds get entangled in. And monofilament, we always find, not always in nests, but sometimes it's kind of underneath the nest, so you know that they're using it, or it's floating up nearby. But definitely removing that is something that, we just can't leave it, I mean, if we're out there only once during a nesting season, it'd be much easier if I didn't have to collect all this trash and bring it back with me, but I can't live with myself knowing that there's the potential, even just the slightest chance that a chick or an adult can become entangled, and then there's no one there to help. So I just can't live with myself with that. So we're happy to collect all of this trash, but I just have to find a use for it after I get it back here, besides just sharing pictures of it. But I just hope that no one who's here or watches this will ever release balloons intentionally. They don't just disappear and float away into space. They come back down. In most places, they end up in the ocean, where if marine critters don't eat it, then it winds up on our marshes, and then it ends up in an osprey nest. So, and if I get my hands on it, then I'm going to get it out of there. So I hope anyone else here watching, if they ever see trash sitting around, pick it up, be the change here, and do the right thing and throw it in the trash where it's supposed to be. So, and I appreciate all the support from everyone, through, our Facebook pages and through YouTube and everywhere, our members, donors, everything here, because without your support, I wouldn't have a job. And Ospreys might not be where they are today without all of your support. So, see Jim here, I see his comment here. He knows that ditch very well. It's always fun crossing a 20-foot wide ditch with a ladder. It's when you get to see people. Go down on their hands and knees for sure. Fundraising efforts. There's going to be one coming up. The last one that we had was for my involvement in a Belize osprey study. The southernmost ospreys nesting in the Western Hemisphere, which is one unique thing that I like to say about them, the Ridgway's subspecies. But yes, we are going to be having a fundraiser for our Osprey project, probably in mid-July. We're going to wait until after we're done with all of our surveys and everything and get done all of this busy field work, and then we're definitely going to have a fundraiser, which will probably be like an online type fundraiser like we did for the Belize project. And yes, we definitely are going to be asking for your support then. So definitely keep an eye out. And, we'll definitely be doing plenty more videos and everything else to try and promote that as well, too. So if anyone has any other questions, let me know. I'm looking forward to surveying another area tomorrow. I'm going to be going out in Absecon Bay, which is right near Atlantic City, near where our Osprey Cam is. Where there's there's usually around 25 nests I check there. It's a pretty good colony. It's kind of been hit or miss over the past years. So it'll be interesting to see tomorrow what the population's looking like. Because they should be doing well, but usually the productivity rate is somewhat low. But I'll be taking the president of Stockton University out, which I'm very excited about, to get him out here to see what we do, because their mascot is the Osprey. So, there's going to be nothing better than actually, seeing the smile on his face when actually seeing these birds up close. So I'm very excited about that. Oh, let's see. A couple questions coming in. Why don't ospreys stay in the warm climate year-round? Well, they do. You know, ospreys are migratory, so ospreys that are here, the North American subspecies, they do migrate south, and most of our birds winter in northern South America, where it is warm. So they have a never-ending summer, I guess you could say. So they do follow that summer breeze, I guess you could say, southward, and then come back up in the spring. Even though sometimes when they come back, they usually, you know, if we have any nor'easters or anything, bring in some nasty cold weather, then you know, then unfortunately they have to stick with it and stick it out. But yes, so they do travel long distances to migrate. The Ridgway subspecies down in Belize, they're non-migratory. So they stay down in Belize year-round, where it's always hot. You know, you know, they don't have to deal with snow ever. They don't know what that is. But New Jersey's ospreys, where do we migrate to? Yeah, some of the band recoveries we've gotten from ospreys banded here as nestlings are all over. You know, their flyway from, you know, here south to Florida and the Panhandle, down to Cuba, Hispaniola, you know, Dominican Republic. I think we've even gotten recoveries over some of the smaller Caribbean islands, you know, like Barbados and Trinidad and Tobago. But most of our birds winter in northern South America, specifically more so in like Colombia and Venezuela. And we even see that there's a great website called Osprey Tracks. That's Tracks with an X at the end. And that's run by Rob Beauregard, and that's where he actually has satellite transmitters or GSM transmitters on birds right now that you can go look at in live time, or I don't know if it's actually live, but it might be delayed a little bit, but you could actually go and see where they are right now. And there are some birds where they're still down in their wintering areas where they're young adults. Young ospreys that fledged this year, in 2016, they will stay down in their wintering areas for 2 years before they return to New Jersey. So, you know, and that's where with his work with the satellite transmitters, we're actually learning where the young ones go and actually how they learn to migrate south, which is you know, something that they do kind of precariously at first, some of them, where they don't necessarily know to fly south. Yes, Osprey Tracks. And I could even see if I could link to that too. But none of our ospreys are a part of Osprey Tracks. You know, I've thought about doing it, you know, but the cost associated with it is basically kind of high. You know, and there's many risks involved. There's the website there. I threw it up there. You know, because, you know, Osprey Tracks and, well, satellite transmitters are great, you know, if you want to learn more about their migratory routes and foraging areas, and we could do that if we wanted to, but I don't really know that we would learn too much, you know, for the risk involved, because if we would want to put it on an adult, we'd have to trap that adult, and then there's certain risks involved with just trapping an adult bird. And if you put it on a young, then you possibly impact that young's survival or chance of survival or chance of reaching adulthood just by putting that little backpack on it. I mean, I know that they're very lightweight and they're designed specifically for birds, but still, it's adding something to that bird that is not natural. You know, and there's, you know, little like wires, it's like Teflon that go around their wings, you know, so it could cause some friction and rubbing, and hey, you never know, you know. I mean, I want to try and give these birds the best chance they have of becoming an adult, because ospreys and many other birds of prey have very high mortality rates when they're young, you know, upwards of like 80%. So, you know, they don't actually have a higher rate of survival until they actually reach adulthood. You know, many die just on their first migrations south, you know, from many different possible threats, you know, one of them being just, you know, not being able to kind of float on water. They're not like a duck, you know, if they fly out over the ocean, you know, they can't just land on the ocean and rest like a duck, you know, they have to perch on something like a boat or anything else, or a channel marker, and if they don't have enough energy to keep flying, you know, they're most certainly going to perish out there. So, you know, putting something else on them that might possibly inhibit that, you know, their success rate of, you know, reaching their wintering grounds is something I don't really want to be a part of here in New Jersey. I mean, you know, and Ospreys really are at the point where they're doing very well, and you know, I don't think we really need to learn too much more about them with regards to that and their specific movements. You know, like you know, their exact movements. One thing we are doing though, and I have some props here with me too, so hopefully everyone will be able to see these, but I'll have to kind of hold them up here, and I can even turn on a light here. But so these are red bands here that we are putting on young ospreys. These are actually called field readable bands, and these are ones where you know, these go on the right leg of birds, young birds. We're putting them on, and we've deployed probably like around 100, and maybe I'm up to like 165 possibly. I've done probably like 15 of them over the past 2 days, but these are field readable. So you know, and we're looking for birds banded with these right now because we started putting them out in 2014, and basically these allow us to actually get more information about these birds when they're alive, with them only having this band on them, but we just have to actually see this band and read it to be able to get that information. But this is another thing that we did as well, too, really to help get people, you know, interested in osprey conservation and management, specifically with, you know, the censuses that we're doing and surveys to get out and actually look for ospreys. And we've gotten a few resightings of these bands over the past few years. And, you know, and that's where we can then learn more information about our ospreys and where they're going, you know, during migration. The first year, it was very exciting because we had a resighting of one, I think it was O4C, that was resighted down in Trinidad and Tobago, alive, you know, where otherwise the federal bands, which I think I can put them down now, I'm showing them off like for an hour here or whatever. The federal bands are ones where, maybe you could have read those bands when I was holding them up, but these, oh, some are kind of upside down. But yeah, so try and read one of those bands right there. These bands, these are the federal USGS bands. They're lock-on bands, so they crimp on and they stay on forever. The red bands are rivet bands, so they'll stay on forever as well too. But these are ones where it's very hard to read. They're basically only read when they're collected from like an injury. A lot of times they're fatal injuries, with ospreys because they just don't do well in rehabilitation settings, or other mortality events, and that's where you just find the band. You know, you look up the 1-800 number on here, you call in the band number, and then you get a certificate from the federal government, and then, we get that information as well, too, on your resighting of that band. Where the red bands are bands that we're putting on young ospreys, specifically on Barnegat Bay, and, and really, for us, it's really trying to learn more about their site fidelity, and where they're actually going when they're coming back as adults. So last year we got one resighting of one bird. I forget which bird it was. I keep thinking it's O4C, but I don't think that's it. It was another one from the first year that we did it, which the bird was banded at Sedge Island, so right behind Island Beach State Park. And then it was resighted 2 years later on the beach at Island Beach State Park. So only a couple miles away from that bird, originated from. It was resighted 2 years later. So, so very neat, to see some of these red-banded birds come back. So if anyone's out there watching ospreys this summer, if you have binoculars or a spotting scope or a camera with like a high-powered telephoto lens, then definitely, keep an eye out for those red bands on the right legs. You could report them on our website, and photos would be great, just to see and confirm those bands. But we haven't seen any red-banded birds this summer yet, but we've been looking. I've been trying to take pictures of all the adults. I mean, today was just crazy because we had many nests where there was, activity. There was a nesting pair, and then we had 3 or 4 other ospreys come in and circle above. And then in other areas, even where there was no nest, we had ospreys just soaring around. And some of those could be from nests that failed. because let's see, I mean, we did have a few nests that failed, on Barnegat Bay that we surveyed. Let's see, we had like around 5 nests that failed, and those birds, once their nest duties are over, they don't necessarily stay on the nest 24/7 after it fails, so they fly around, and sometimes they do defend other ospreys' nests, or interact with them as well too. So. Yeah, our Osprey Cam is definitely drama-free. Yeah, I kind of was reading a little bit about the Hellgate nest out there, and just the situation out there in Montana is just kind of crazy. I mean, we've been very lucky with our Osprey Cam here, and just overall in our Osprey population in general. With regards to any kind of contaminants or any kind of pollution like that or anything. That could possibly harm them. I mean, one of the things, and even, as far as even large-scale brood reductions, we haven't really seen in many years. I think really like the last bad year for ospreys in New Jersey was 2003. And here, one of the things I really think is an important factor here is just our location here along the Atlantic coast is where we have a lot of these protected estuaries that have a lot of fish. Like Barnegat Bay and a lot of the other bays going south along the Atlantic coast. And then we also have the ocean. So besides just foraging on species of fish that might be in the bay, like flounder, ospreys can also forage on some migratory fish or, seasonal fish species like bunker, that are found out there. But that's even one of the things too, which is kind of a topic that we need to look into a little bit more too, or just something we always look at when we summarize our results too. Is that one of my friends a science teacher who's out of school now, Alex, who's a local sport fishing guide, came out with me today, and he said he's just seen a lot of like purse seiners off of the coast of New Jersey. Just over the the past couple months, just scooping up the bunker Menhaden like crazy out there, and their catch limit or whatever their I'm having a brain fart with what we're calling it, but their limit for what they can catch is like millions of pounds. Their quota, that's it, is just huge for how much fish are actually allowed to catch. And Menhaden are basically, the most important fish in the sea, and there's a book by that title, but, many different animals forage on them, and including ospreys. So we'll have to see if that really plays a role this year, because usually ospreys, really, hammer the bunker throughout the year, any of the ones nesting on the Atlantic coast, and they really have been a staple of their diet throughout New Jersey. And really could be one of the main drivers for them having such high productivity rates over the past few years. I mean, with reductions in fish stocks, I mean, definitely ospreys take a hit, and even the Chesapeake Bay is seeing that, with the reduced fishery there in the bay. But we have a nice setup along the Atlantic coast, so hopefully that's a good sign for now and in the future, as long as these purse seiners don't keep annihilating the Menhaden offshore. But Jim's doing a good job, promoting our camera. And, I think I'm going to quit here in a couple minutes. But, I thank you all for joining me here. And definitely, if you haven't watched our cam at Forsyth National Wildlife Refuge, just go right to our YouTube channel, the video manager or the homepage for it. And that's where you'll see our other live streams, and that's where you'll see those. If you want to view both feeds at the same time, then go on our website, and that's where you could view both at the same time. And really, the sound is what's great. For a couple years it didn't work, and now it's been working, and just having that sound has really been one of the best things that we've had. And everybody who talks about the Jersey City Falcon Cam as well too just loves the fact that we have sound there. And there's not many places where you can hear, sirens and baby falcons calling, so it's quite an interesting scene. But with the ospreys, you get to hear laughing gulls calling in the background, and ospreys calling to each other. But it definitely adds to the whole scene where you just take in the environment as it is, So with that, I'm gonna end here, and just thanks a lot for joining me on this beautiful evening. So I appreciate it. All right, and thank you very much. Our website is conservewildlifenj.org, and definitely make sure to check it out for all things related to ospreys and other endangered and threatened species in New Jersey. Thanks. Have a good night.